Well, our next speaker is Jennifer Redd from eCampus, and she is going to tell us about one of the most useful tools for learning in the classroom, Canvas. Jennifer?
Okay. All right. So welcome, everyone. I know you've had a busy day. I saw your agenda of multiple presentations that you've been listening to today. But like he mentioned, this is going to be very helpful for what you're going to be doing as soon as the semester begins, and even now as you're kind of thinking about the course design. So I pulled up our eCampus webpage because I only have a limited amount of time with you today, but this way you can find other resources after I leave. So our website is just the sjsu.edu/ecampus. And then you can find resources for all sorts of different teaching tools that are available to you as both a TA as well as a student. So just something to keep in mind, there's a lot of different software applications that you are lucky to have access to. So we have the teaching tools, and then we also have some research tools, depending on what types of research that you're going to be conducting as well. So there's resources for all that stuff, if you visit any of those web pages. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm in Canvas. Does everybody have their courses assigned to them yet? Yes? Okay. So I'm just in a practice course, and so you probably would have received a practice course. Yes? Okay. So within here, one of the first things, right, so if you're just getting started, there's just a few quick things that you can do to get up to speed, especially with the semester beginning tomorrow. Okay, so one of the easy things to do is this homepage, right? So that's the first thing that the students are going to see when they come into your course. So you do want to have some information there so that they know what you expect them to do, right? So right now I just have a thing that says, welcome to the course. But do you know what I'd actually want you to do? Like, where would I find anything? You probably would just start clicking around, possibly. But instead of doing that, you can easily just edit the page to actually tell them that. So I'm just clicking on edit. And so say I wanted them to, go to the module section. So everything within Canvas always looks the same. So you always have this same toolbar, and this is very similar to like a word processing type of toolbar, so it's nothing that you shouldn't be familiar with. And then the second row has some additional features, like if you wanted to put things in a table, if you wanted to add some media like a video, if you just wanted to put in links, you can just add those links and they'll become a hyperlink automatically. You don't need to do anything extra for that. And then, just some additional formatting if you wanted to do that as well. All right, so you can add in that information. And then also what you're seeing on the side here, we have a thing called links, files, and images. Links, what that means here is you're just linking something else that you've created in the course to another spot within the course. All right, so that's why we're seeing all these different tools. And if I wanted to, link something right here, I could just click on the name of it and it'll link it for me. Files is what it sounds like. It's your course files that are in there. And so you'll see that you can have different folders, and then you can have things that aren't in folders as well. And then images, same type of thing. You can add, if you wanted an image on the home page or anywhere within Canvas, you can add that there. So once you're done doing whatever you want to do, you just need to make sure you click on Save, and then you'll have any changes that you've made. So that's the first thing I would recommend. So you just want to have something on the home page letting the students know where to go and what to do. Sound easy? Good. Then, yes? Yeah, so the question was, in case you couldn't hear that, is if you create it in one of your practice courses, which is a good idea, how can I move it into my actual course? Or maybe you're teaching two sections. So you do it in one section and you want to get it into the other one. So on this left navigation menu, these are all the different tools that you have available to you, and you can rearrange them or hide things if you're not going to use them. But the very bottom one is called Settings. So if I went down here to settings, and then over here on the side panel, I have an import course content. So if I went into my course that didn't have anything yet, and I said I'm going to import it, and then I can choose copy a Canvas course, and then I would just pick my practice course or the other section, and then I can just import all those materials, and it'll bring them all in for you. So I think that's pretty easy. So it's just settings, and then you'll choose import. What you're seeing here is obviously, I've done some testing in here, so there's, you can do it more than once. Right here is, say I didn't want to import the whole thing. I just want to import 2 quizzes and 1 assignment. So you can kind of pick and choose as well. So you have options. You can just do everything, or you can just pick certain activities that you wanted to bring in. Also here under settings, I'm just going to go back to settings. How I mentioned you can adjust this navigation menu. That's this 3rd tab here called navigation. So anything that I would do here, so if I wanted to move these around, or if I didn't want to use a certain feature, I can go over here and click on disable. And so this top thing is mirroring what we're seeing. This is this. And then down here, these are all these different things that are hidden. Right, so the students will not see these. If you put it down here and then later you decide you want to use it, you just come back in and you bring it back up into this top area. So make sure though, again, you hit the save button to save any changes that you might have made. Okay. All right, another key thing, on the left side you'll see it says syllabus, and this is really important to add your syllabus here. We've gotten feedback over the years from many students that when they see the word syllabus, they expect to find the syllabus there. So you can click on syllabus, and then basically yours will have just a blank page here, and you can click on edit, and now it looks just like that other screen we were working on earlier. And you can go over here to files, and you'll upload your file. So you'll find your syllabus file that you have, and you'll just upload it, and it'll be linked within the page here. So I'll pick a file, and I'll click Update Syllabus. Okay, and then we have our file that's here. Let me refresh that. One of the other things about the files within Canvas is if I click on the name of this, it'll download it onto this computer. But if I just want to read it while I'm on the go, I can click on that magnifying glass that's on like a little piece of paper, and now I can just read it. So I can just read it here. I didn't need to download it. So especially if you're on a mobile device, you might not want to download things. I would recommend you can install the app if you do like using, iOS or Android. So there's apps for both of those. And then obviously you can use your browser as well. But you do have those options available. Okay. So one other thing to keep in mind, those would be the first 2 things, right? So you want to welcome on that homepage and let them know how you're organizing the course and where they can find materials. And then you get the syllabus into the course. Then another option would be, how are you going to set up that content? And what I would recommend is we offer workshops all throughout kind of the semester that can go over how to design the materials. I'll just click on modules so you can get an idea of how you might do this. So you might have week 1. And the way modules are, it's a way to kind of add all sorts of activities together. So I might have an assignment, I have a file, I might have a quiz. So everything a student would need to do in that first week is under week 1. Again, it makes it very clear. Instead of having to answer 20 emails asking you, what do I need to do this week? It's clear. These are the things you need to do for week 1. These are the things you need to do for week 2. So we do highly recommend you set things up in that way. And it's pretty easy to create a new module. You click that plus module, you give it a name, then you'd have it, and you can just add any materials you want to add. So an assignment, quiz, file. A page is just a blank space. A discussion, A text header would just be if you wanted a heading in there. So if you just wanted it to say readings, and then you listed all the readings below it. And then you can have a link to a website. And then if you're using another type of tool, you can add that as well. Has anybody seen using modules in your own courses you've taken? Has anybody set up their course so far with modules? Not yet? Okay. And again, as you're thinking about putting things together, we're located in the IRC building, so it's just 2 buildings over from here on the 2nd floor. And Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, you can just stop in. You don't need an appointment. If you wanted us to take a look at something that you've put together, or you had some questions about how to lay things out, or another common question is, you know, you're creating it, but what does it look like to the students, right? That's pretty important to know. So I'm on the home page again, and over here we have a student view. So now I can take a look at how this would appear for students. What's nice about this is I could submit an assignment. This way I can make sure the assignment's working how I intended, or I could take a quiz. And then I also could go into that modules area and make sure I can see the materials, right? So like, okay, I set this as a prerequisite. Did I intend to do that or not? So this way you can really test out what you've put together. And then just remember, when you're in student view, you do need to leave it to be able to do anything again. Questions about? That's a pretty useful feature, I think. One of the other main things would be assignments. How many of you think you're going to have people submit things online? Okay. So I'm going to go over here to assignments. Even if you have people submit things in a lab, so they're going to be handing something to you, you still would want to create an assignment, and this will create a column in the grade book where you can put the grades in. Because it is important for students to get not only the feedback from you, but also have the grade information. So if there is a question, they can talk with you in a timely manner versus waiting weeks upon weeks, and then it's a surprise. Like, because maybe you meant to give them, you know, a 90, but you accidentally hit a 9. Right? So then they're, uh-oh, my grade. So this way they could talk with you about that. So within the assignments page, you can create assignment groups. So groups are just a way to group similar things together. So you might have a group of essays, you might have a group of quizzes. So, you know, and you might also have weightings for them. So this might be in your syllabus, right? So all the quizzes are worth 25% of the total grade of the course. And then all the papers are worth 50%. So you do have the options to set that up. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. So to create an assignment, just click on that. And again, it's that same interface. So it's pretty easy to navigate kind of the assignment itself. You can indicate how many points it might be worth. You can choose how it'll display. Is it points, a percentage? Maybe it's just something complete or incomplete, if they did it or not. A letter grade. You can have it on a 4.0 scale, or it might be something that's not graded. Okay. And then you can have your submission type. So like I said, you can still create this if it's something on paper that they're handing to you. We'll go with the online option because that is kind of the more common method. And you can always have them do both. So this way you can use SpeedGrader, which allows you to annotate on top of the submission and give comments. So we can use any of these, or you could just check a couple of them. With assignments, there can also be group assignments. So you can have, you know, group mates working together. If you do have it as a group assignment, you can choose if the whole group gets the same grade, or do you give out individual grades? Anybody going to be doing group assignments? Yeah. You can have peer reviews. This would be useful if you're having students writing, and then you can match them up with someone else, and they can use a rubric and go through and give feedback to each other, and then you might look at the final draft and give feedback on that. And then down below, this is how you assign it to the students. So by default, it says everyone, so everyone in your class, and then you can put in a due date. And then you can fill in, if you don't put a time, it just defaults 11:59. And then when can they start submitting? So maybe I pick a date last week. So I could leave it like this, but maybe I don't accept late work. How many of you accept late work? Okay, well, it's something to think about if you do or not. If you leave this empty, the students will be able to submit it after the due date, but it'll mark it as late. If I put in a date here, so maybe I'm flexible, I'll give them, 1 extra day in case they had a technical issue when submitting. So now they have until that time. After that, there will be no option to submit an assignment. So again, that's something you would want to think about your late policies. What you're seeing down here, so within Canvas you have a save option. So maybe I'm not done with this, still working on it, still writing it up. I can just hit save and come back to it later. If I'm completely done and it's ready for the students to see, then I can click on save and publish. Now the students will see it and they can start accessing it. So within all these assignments, like I said, it creates a column in the gradebook, because that might be something else you're going to have to work with. And so here is the gradebook. Right, so here we would have all of our student names that are enrolled in the course. You can add in notes, right? So if you needed to make a note about something, the students don't see those notes. Those are just for you. And then here we have all the different assignments that are showing up. This I means that it's hidden from the students right now. Right, so that's really useful, especially if you have a big class and you're grading and you're not done with everybody on the same day, but you want to be fair that everybody gets their grades on the same day. So you can go through, you enter everything, and then once you're done, you can come in, you click on these 3 little dots, and I can say post grades, and then everybody will get them at the exact same time. Right, so what we're seeing, here's all these assignments, and then all the way over here, these were, I had groups, right? So this would be 10%. If your columns are ever a little hidden like that, you just can click on it and drag it. Just depends on the browser and the device you're using. And then in the very far side here, you'll have the total for the course. Questions about the gradebook? One thing to keep in mind is if you see a dash, you do want to, and it's overdue and they didn't submit it, you want to put a 0 in there. Don't leave it as a dash, because the dash would mean it won't be calculating it as the total points possible, because it's like waiting for something. So you want to put in a 0 if it wasn't completed. I think we had a question over here. No? No? Any questions about the gradebook? Because I think you'll be involved with this type of activity. Mm-hmm.
How do you add in the percentages, the weights for different assignments? Yeah. How do you add the weights for the different assignments?
Sure. So I'm going to go back to the assignments page. All right, so you create the groups, create as many as you want. You just kind of keep clicking on that. These 3 vertical dots, there's only one choice under here. So when you click on that, I already had it on, so that's why it's already checked. But then here they all are, and if I needed to change this to something else, I can. And then you can just kind of do them all in this one screen. But keep in mind, the possibility to go over 100 exists, so you do want to double check and make sure that adds up correctly. Other questions? Well, I'm sure things will come up as you get in there and you start working on things. So like I said, you can stop by. And then also off our website, under support, we have workshops. So we do have Canvas workshops coming up. And some of them are offered online, just in case you're not on campus all the time. So this way you can learn a bit more about the actual features. This was just a really quick, here's a few things that you need to know to get started. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jennifer.